But was it cherry or currant? Oh, please, it was clearly blackberry with a hint of mischief. I think we need another glass to decide.
This channel is about understanding wine for real.
Not memorizing fancy words.
Not pretending every bottle is mystical.
And not swallowing the wine industry's preferred story just because it sounds elegant.
We want to tell you what's actually going on in the glass.
In the cellar.
And in the market.
Why a wine tastes the way it does.
Why people talk about it the way they do.
And when the story is true.
And when it's just good marketing.
If you want wine without the fog.
You're in the right place. Napa Valley built its empire on big, bold Cabernet Sauvignon. But what if the climate is changing, the consumer is changing, and even the culture of wine is changing? Then you stop asking whether the bottle is still expensive and start asking whether the whole model still makes sense. Is Napa dead? No. But the version of Napa that built its fame is under pressure from 3 directions at once. Climate, taste, and the fact that wine, as a category, is losing some of the cultural momentum it used to enjoy. Exactly. Napa is not dead, but the conditions that made it dominant are eroding. And that gets us to the real question. The question is not whether Napa can still make great wine. It is whether it can still make the wine people are moving toward. Tourism identity. Luxury expectations. Distribution economics. Prestige positioning. The whole system rewards wines that feel expensive. Bigger, richer, more extracted, more oaked, more immediately impressive. Exactly. Napa is structurally pushed toward impact. And that is the trap. You can't charge luxury prices for wines people don't crave anymore. So what happens next? There are 3 plausible futures. First, adaptation, or whether it is trapped making the wine it already knows how to sell. Napa picks earlier, extracts less, protects freshness, allows more stylistic diversity, and stays important, but in a different shape. Second, fragmentation. The top luxury names survive. The middle gets squeezed. Napa becomes a smaller, more elite island inside a shrinking category. Third, stagnation. Napa keeps selling the old image while the market keeps moving. It does not collapse overnight. It just becomes progressively less culturally relevant. So, is Napa dead? No. But the version of Napa we built our expectations around was built for a world that doesn't exist anymore. Napa can still make great wine. Better, and use this early, because it is the whole argument in one insult. That is not the question. The question isn't whether Napa can still make great wine. It's whether it can still make the wine people are moving toward. And if it cannot, the market will answer for it. We didn't fall out of love with Cabernet. Cabernet stopped listening. Cabernet Sauvignon made Napa famous because it likes warmth. Warmth helps it build tannin, concentration, structure, and ageability. Warm is good. Hot is where the relationship gets messy. Exactly. Napa is not just warm anymore. Increasingly, it is dealing with serious heat events, compressed ripening, dehydration pressure, and wildfire smoke risk. Which means sugar can shoot up fast, potential alcohol rises, and the rest of the grape chemistry does not always move in sync. Right. Rightness is not a number. It's a relationship, and Napa's losing control of it. That is the line. Because it is true. You can get faster sugar accumulation without the flavor, color, aromatic, and phenolic development lining up cleanly behind it. So the grape says 13.5 or 14.5 or 15% alcohol before the wine has actually become more precise.
Or before it has become more beautiful. That is the important part.
And then there is heat stress itself.
Yes, extreme heat can shut vines down, stall ripening, dehydrate berries, reduce color, and push fruit toward cooked or raisined character.
Which is why this is not just a style complaint, it is chemistry.
Exactly. And smoke risk adds another layer of instability on top.
But this is where we need the nuance.
Correct. Climate creates the conditions. Winemakers decide what to do with them.
Meaning, some wines are not merely ripe because Napa got hot.
They are pushed further by later harvesting, more extraction, heavier oak, and style decisions aimed at impact and consistency.
So if the grapes are already under stress, and then you keep dialing toward bigness, you are not just expressing terroir anymore.
Terroir doesn't matter if you cook the grapes.
But climate is only one side of this. The other problem is that the market itself is moving.
Yes, and not randomly. The sensory values are changing.
The old prestige model rewarded extraction, oak, alcohol, weight, and sheer impact.
Impressive wine.
The newer preference rewards acidity, aromatic lift, transparency, texture, and freshness.
Enjoyable wine.
The market is moving from impressive wines to enjoyable wines.
Exactly. We trained people to admire power. Now they're starting to notice finesse.
And that shows up all over the place. In what people get excited about: Beaujolais, Loire Cabernet Franc, cooler climate Pinot Noir, fresher whites, lighter reds, wines with energy instead of just mass.
Yes, this is not just people putting chillable reds on Instagram and pretending that is a philosophy.
Though, to be fair, sometimes that is exactly what is happening.
True, but underneath the trendiness is a real sensory shift. People are learning that pleasure is not the same thing as force.
Which is awkward if your whole identity was built around flex wines.
Very.
And even if Napa adapted stylistically tomorrow, it would still have a bigger problem.
Wine has a competition problem, and it's losing.
Because now you are not just competing with other wines.
You are competing with cocktails, beer, hard seltzer, RTDs, non-alcoholic options, THC beverages, and a consumer who increasingly wants less friction.
Wine often asks for explanation, confidence, ritual, money, and a little performance.
If you need a 10-minute explanation to enjoy something, it's already in trouble.
That is brutal.
It is also market reality. Younger consumers drink less than previous generations, and when they do drink, they often choose formats that are easier, cheaper, more immediate, or more legible.
Meanwhile, lower-priced wine often disappoints, which hurts trust in the whole category.
Exactly. So Napa is not just selling expensive wine. It is selling expensive wine inside a category that increasingly feels effortful.
This is where we need to stop talking about Napa like it is one big oak barrel with a zip code.
Yes? Napa isn't one thing. Some producers are evolving. Others are engineering consistency.
Let's start with the quiet adapters.
Coruscant.
Coruscant is one of the cleanest examples of Napa Cabernet not having to be overblown to be serious.
Exactly. Kathy Coruscant built a reputation on restraint, structure, earlier picking, moderate alcohol, and wines that actually taste like they expect to live a long life.
Not Napa as body spray, Napa as architecture.
Better.
Mathiasen.
Farming first, freshness-focused, moderate in alcohol, and philosophically uninterested in protecting the stereotype if the stereotype is wrong.
Mathiasen is less interested in proving Napa is powerful that improving Napa can still be balanced.
Exactly.
Frog's Leap.
Dry farming, preserved acidity, moderate extraction, judicious oak, restrained alcohol. Frog's Leap has spent years quietly refusing the bigger is better formula.
Quiet rebellion in a valley that often confuses volume with conviction.
Nicely done.
And then, Ridge Montebello.
Not Napa proper, but an essential California Cabernet counterexample. Coolness, structure, balance, longevity, mountain freshness.
Montebello proves that California Cabernet does not need to become caricature to become great.
Exactly. Some wineries are making wine for the next 20 years.
And others?
Others are selling the last 20.
That lands.
Because now we get to the power holdouts.
Camus.
Camus is not fringe Napa. It is one of the consumer-facing images of Napa. Plush, ultra-ripe, dark, concentrated, luxurious, soft from release, immediately legible.
This is the style many people still picture when they hear the word Napa.
Exactly.
Silver oak.
Polished, oak-defined, recognizably branded, and built around consistency. Silver oak is not improvising. It is delivering a house style.
Familiarity as luxury.
Yes.
Joseph Phelps. Insignia.
Prestige blend, concentration, aspiration, impact. A benchmark of the classic high-end Napa model.
So this is not just old versus new. It is two different ideas of what wine is supposed to be.
Exactly. This isn't just style. It's a completely different definition of what wine is supposed to be.
Some are chasing relevance. Others are cashing in on memory.
Metaphorically thrown bottle accepted.
The hardest part is that even if Napa wants to pivot, it cannot pivot easily.
Correct. Napa doesn't just make expensive wine. It has to make expensive wine.
Because of land values,
Farming costs.
labor costs.
Just right.